Hello, everybody. How are you? I am Penda James, and I'm a scribe coach. What I do is I assist leaders in transition to get unstuck, execute their goals, and inscribe their legacy. What you are watching or listening to is something that I am calling the Resilience Project. This is a series of conversations that I am having with people that I care about. I want to introduce my friends to my friends so that we can all do great work in the kingdom. And in addition to that, I am striving to create tools of resilience for leaders. Today, I am deeply honored and humbled to introduce you all to someone who is very special to my family. Our families are connected. It's not just me and Jamila. But this is Jamila Sampson. She's a loctician. She's also our stylist and takes care and makes all of our hairs beautiful, which is helping us from the inside out. She's a mom. She's a worship leader. I have on some bracelets that she made me. So just she's an artist, just in so many ways, Jamila is a gift. And so I want to introduce my gift to y'all. So, Jamila, is there something that I did not say about you that you want the people to know?
Well, I am also an artist. I create art visually as well as through the expression of hair and fashion. I am a teacher, and I describe myself as a teacher because whenever I interact with someone, it's always a learning experience. I learn from them and I share my knowledge. So I do offer um, teaching, through personal coaching, through hair coaching, and through courses. But just who I am instinctively is an artist and a teacher.
Yes, yes. I thought I did say you were an artist, but that's an
Yes.
important part. So if I didn't say that, thank you for adding that. We want to be able to purchase some art. So at the end, I hope you'll tell us where we can get some. Yes, okay. So the declaration that we are going to be discussing today, I am enough. And I was sharing with you earlier that when I first started the Resilience Project, you are going to be somewhere like 45 or 44. I'm not sure which number quite yet. But I started and I was giving the declarations to people that I wanted to talk to. And I would say, this is the gift that something that I've learned from you or something that I want to learn from you. And now I feel like I've shifted to a season where God is speaking directly to me. And you said that you wanted your declaration to be, I am enough. So can you tell us, what does it mean to be enough?
Well, the way I would describe being enough, I am enough, means I am capable, I am authentic, I am present, and I am content. So those things together mean that I have what it takes to meet, to surpass all of my goals and expectations.
How did you come to this? How did you come to get settled in that I am enough?
Honestly, it's happened because all of my crutches got kicked out from under me. So um maybe 10 or so years ago, one of my friends gave me a pamphlet, and on the front it said symptoms of codependence. So as I read through it said you may be codependent if you do A, B, C, D. I mean, it was like a description of myself. It was that was so it was unnerving.
Hmm.
Um, and then, another issue that I had, that it brought up was a sense of shame. Like, oh my gosh, I felt like like my underwear had been hanging out and nobody told me.
Mm.
So I think one of the first emotions that came from the realization that my behavior was codependent was feeling hopeless. So that was one of the overwhelming emotions that I had, was hopelessness, as in, oh, there was, there was already this mindset that something was wrong with me. I already felt, as if I wasn't good enough in my own head. So then when someone presented to me like, hey, you may have this issue, the first way I received it was, oh my God, even more is wrong with me than what I thought.
Okay.
I'm worse than I thought. So that was my first, that was my first confrontation. But what was also on the front of the pamphlet when I flipped it over was that there was a solution. Basically, you connect with other people and you talk about this, you expose what's going on, and that's how you fix it.
Mm.
So it really pushed me out of that place of shame, out of that place of embarrassment, for not being perfect,
Yeah.
and I started sharing, and I found strength there in just exposing, because as I exposed and as I shared, I didn't get the reaction that I anticipated. What I thought in my head was that people would be, uh, I guess, like disgusted with me and not want to be connected with me anymore. I guess I was anticipating rejection because of these flaws.
Yeah.
Um, and that's not what happened.
Hmm. So, how has being enough been a thread throughout your life?
Well, it's been, like I said before, what I thought, everything that I looked at as a crutch, like, a friend or a program or, a church, an organization, um, a job, a location, an office, any place where I felt like, whew, I'm safe now. Everything kept changing.
Oh.
So every time something changed, I had to recalibrate because my safe place was destroyed. So I kept looking for like a shelter away from, the rest of life's worries. And that's a fantasy. Like that's just not real.
Yes.
So, rather than going through this disappointment and devastation every time things change, I've had to grow to a place where I anticipate and look forward to change and even initiate change. So now I'm used to changing, and I realize that if I have choice, and I think that was something else that was missing for a long time, my my sense of choice. I remember feeling hopeless because I didn't know that I could choose something different. I
Mm.
thought that this was the hand I was dealt, and this is how it's going to be, and I just have to adjust.
So that brings me to another question then, Jamila. If you, because you are in numerous leadership positions,
Mhm.
were you experiencing the feeling of not being enough while you were still in leadership?
Yes.
So so now looking back, how do you think you were able to be effective as a leader, or to give the fullness of who you are in leadership when you weren't feeling like you were enough? I ask that because I know what that feels like, but I don't know how to put words to it.
Hmm. Well, I think one of the things that helped me was just reacting in the moment. So, a lot of times when you're in a leadership position, people come to you and they ask you questions.
Mhm.
Well, what are we going to do about this? What time is this? When are we this? How are we going to do this? and I had the answers. So when people would come to me, I would just respond. So the response was like, okay, I know how to give, I know how to do this. So I think it was just taking one day at a time, rather than looking for this great sense of confidence, or this reassurance from outside of me. I just said, okay, they're asking me a question. What if I just answer the question?
Mm.
And that was the way it was. Okay, if I don't know the answer, I admit that I don't know. I'm not sure. Well, maybe, maybe blah, blah, blah. Maybe. So I would say maybe, and then I could present scenarios. And I really had to pray, like lean on the Holy Spirit. Like, okay, I don't know the answer. What should I do? And in that moment, like that's so, so true, where God will give you what to say in the
Yeah.
moment. And sometimes because I asked the question out loud, I got the answer back right then, even though I didn't know when the person approached me. And God will, I mean, he'll really, really supply in that way.
So as I'm listening to you, I'm thinking a lot about how, these are the kinds of conversations that we have in real life,
Right.
so these sacred conversations that I'm having, I wanted to bring them to the forefront because I feel like people need to talk about some of these hard things. We've discussed like serving God, but hurting,
Yeah.
serving God while, there's all this weight of leadership that really doesn't belong to us, is somebody else's stuff. And so I just wanted to acknowledge that one of the gifts that I benefit from you is when you are, doing my hair and we're having these, I'm a captive audience in that moment, but it's a ministry for you to, I guess what I'm trying to say is you don't just do hair. Like you don't just create art, or you don't just make bracelets. Like everything that you do in this season of your life, you are putting God first. And so you're always being led by God. And that has helped you to know that you are enough.
Mm-hmm.
So even when you were like not feeling like you weren't enough and you were praying, you knew where to get your strength from.
Right.
And I think sometimes people don't know where to get their strength from.
Mm-hmm.
So if you needed to speak to a leader who, for some reason, their enough hasn't risen to the top because it's buried under so much other stuff, what would you say to them to help them dig it up?
Honestly, I would say to spend time alone. Just you, just God. Many of the answers that we're searching for are already within yourself. And by that, I mean, you can answer many of the questions. So if you feel overwhelmed, actually sitting alone and writing down, I am overwhelmed. Why do I feel overwhelmed? And examining those emotions and, those thought patterns alone, many times the answer is right there. It'll come pouring out on the pages, which is why journaling is so beneficial. So I journal almost every day. So just asking a question, why is this so stressful? And identifying each stressor. When you do that, you can see the answers many times. And if you don't see them, then you're like, okay, I need help here. I don't see the answer in category A. So now I'm going to reach out to my sister Penda and ask her what she thinks about this particular item under my stressors. And many times you'll find the solutions and you realize that within your circle there, the answers are right there. A lot of times you may remember a conversation while you're sitting quietly, but one of the best things to do is to learn how to just stop and be quiet for a minute. And by quiet, I mean like stop your mind from racing, dump it all on a piece of paper, dump it all, on a sketchbook, all on, a whiteboard. These are the issues. These are the things that I want answers for. Dump it, just get it out of your system and sit, relax, and get your mind focused enough to listen for, the peace of God, listen for direction, listen for instructions. But sitting quietly alone may be one of the most beneficial things that you can do as a leader. The first person you have to lead is yourself. And that's where you start. You lead by example. So you lead yourself, and then you can, retrieve from within the things that you need to lead other people.
So I did get a little emotional when you said that you have to sit by yourself. And so in processing that, it's one of the things that I've recognized that 2020 did for me, is that I can't get to my family. I don't live alone. I have a husband, and I have my baby girl. However, the love of the village and my sister friends is something that I miss. And so that was another reason why I wanted to have these conversations with people that I care about. But I also understand that sometimes my busyness is a distraction from sitting at God's feet. This is me. There are times when I battle with not feeling like I'm enough, because I often filter other people's opinions first. And so in one of my chats that you'll hear, the guest, my friend was talking about holding those thoughts captive, and she makes analogies, and she said holding those thoughts captive, and you put it in Jesus jail and in your mind, and you weigh it against, is this what God really says about me? And so I wanted to acknowledge that sitting alone is not easy. And because you do have to face some of the things that you've done or said in leadership that could have been harmful, to people, if you never say, I'm not okay, and so you're leading and that you're not okay because you may be experiencing grief or stress or whatever, for whatever reason. But sitting with yourself and forcing yourself to be still and know that God is God so he can speak to you, that was a good tool. Thank you for sharing that. What do you want people to know about being enough?
Let me see. I want people to know that you don't have to meet an external standard to be enough. That what's most important is coming to a place of valuing yourself. And I know we've heard this over and over again. Whitney Houston saying the greatest love of all, learning to love yourself. This is crucial, and it's biblical.
It is.
It's to love others like you love yourself. So loving yourself, one of the main components of loving yourself is accepting that this is how you are. Now, the second component to that is accepting that God made you that way on purpose. You are not like your sister or your brother or cousin because God wanted something else. And if you look at the creation story in Genesis, he created things and then he commented and it was good.
Yes.
So God created Penda, and he said, this is good. In fact, when he created Adam and Eve, he said, this is very good.
Mm.
The others were good. That was very good. So I had to accept that. Okay, in order to agree with my Heavenly Father, I have to agree that this way that I am is very good.
That's good, Jamila.
Mhm.
I am enough.
Yes,
I
I
am
mean,
enough. I'm enough. You know, I had this image in my mind of like water pouring, you know,
mhm.
from a pitcher into a cup. You know, if you keep pouring, it's going to overflow. So that's enough. Enough is such a strong word. I think it's underrated. You know, this is enough. You know, if children are fussing with each other and the mom comes in and says, enough, it like arrests everybody in the room. You know, enough is such a strong word, and I just want to thank you for bringing this conversation to the table, because this is good. This is good. This is very good. So can you tell people how they can connect with you if they want to get some of your educational teachings, or purchase some of your products? Tell them where to find you on social media, or
Yes, absolutely. My website is jewelbeautiful.com. So that's Jewel Beauty Full, FUL.com. I also am on Instagram, also at Jewel Beautiful, and Facebook, Jamila Sampson, and YouTube TV. So it's called, it's my name on YouTube as well, Jamila Sampson. And I have lots of tips and, of course, links to purchase products and to enroll in courses. Again, she mentioned the aromatherapy bracelet. So I'm all about natural wellness and self-care. These are great even now during the this, sinus season,
yeah.
where, the aromatherapy bracelets with the lava beads, you can just put a few drops of essential oils here and it can actually bring you some relief or some relaxation. Just a great way to add a wonderful scent to your atmosphere and change your mood, change your environment.
Yes.
So
Wear
that's just
mine every
the
day.
thing.
And it's
Yeah.
orange too, so it just makes me so happy. It makes me so happy. Is
My
there something that we didn't talk about that you want to add to the conversation about
There
Penda L?
is one other thing. I think it's very important to separate the things you do from who you are and your existence and your value. That was one of the challenges that I had to find as I've grown to this place of self love and self acceptance. That my list of accomplishments is not what makes me enough, just my existence. It's enough.
Because I exist, I'm enough.
Yes,
Is that what you're saying?
exactly. Each of us is a necessary part of the universal ecosystem.
Yeah.
You wouldn't even be here on earth if you weren't necessary to balance all of the energy in the universe. So you're supposed to be here. So
Yes.
I am enough. I wouldn't even be here now. I wouldn't be present. I wouldn't be alive if I wasn't a necessary part of the ecosystem of the entire universe. So I am enough.
I am enough. Yep. I love it. I actually wrote about that in one of my books, you know, overcoming the I'm not good enough ideology, basically.
Yes.
But it resonates differently in this season. I was younger then. I'm older now. And the older you get, the more you feel like I'm supposed to have accomplished this by this time. And I was supposed to do this. But what I'm doing right now is what God said I'm supposed to be doing. It's enough. I'm enough. And I'm going to be the best of me in my enough.
Yes.
Awesome. I love you so much. Thank
I
you
love
for lending your voice to this conversation and helping me get to 100 or more declarations for leaders. This is so awesome. And I want to thank all of you who were watching and who have watched us today. And please comment, like, share, go support Jamila, and go back and watch some of the other conversations that I've recorded here on the Resilience Project, because there may be some nuggets in there for you as well. Have an awesome, awesome day, and thank you.